Wow. Well, friends, I hope people are still with me. We just had a major malfunction, and I'm back. I'm seeing some people coming back. Yay. Stay with me. I'm going to go it again, and that means I have to hold on just a few minutes. I have to send another invite to Dina to get her back. Okay, guys, I'm back. Dina's going to be back. So I'm going to start all over again. And by doing this, I can clip out some of the what happened in the middle when I go back in. So I want to go back to the steps. The first one is that I come to believe there is only one power and one presence in the universe and in my life, God, the good omnipotent. And the second one is that I surrender my will to the power of the Christ within. I surrender my will to the power of the Christ within. And through introspection, I identify the thoughts I hold that create my experience. And I think what I said was the Buddha said, all that we are is a result of what we have thought. It is founded on our thoughts. It is made of our thoughts. What we think, we become. For as Emerson says, the ancestry of every action is thought. No sound. Sound is streaming. So that means I have sound now? Help me. Yes? I think I must have sound now. Kim, yes? I hear you. Okay. Thank you. So we'll go on to the fourth one which is using denials and affirmations, I cleanse my consciousness of all error thoughts. So here's a good example of denials and affirmations. I give no power to the loss of transmission. I know that with God, all things are possible, and we are back live. A denial is the first practical step toward wiping out of our minds the mistaken beliefs that raise such havoc in our lives. An affirmation is a strong, true statement about yourself or a situation. I'm thinking about just what just happened here. And I'm thinking about in Sunday morning when we're in the sanctuary, there are times when the mic doesn't work or something else, some of the glitch happens, but at least I can see you and get a reaction. And now this is kind of strange. I'm thankful. I'm thankful for you guys posting in the comment box, because now I get a chance to realize that you are hearing me. So today I'm going to go on to the fifth one. And the fifth step in these steps is I commit to developing a conscious contact with God through prayer and meditation. The need for prayer at the beginning of the day was once illustrated by a comparison to watch winding. When do you wind your watch? A jeweler asked a man who complained that his watch was not keeping accurate time. At night, of course, as everyone else does. No, said the jeweler, most people may wind their watches at night, but not jewelers. For we know the mechanism of a watch And we know that it is best to begin the day on a full spring. I found this illustration fascinating because it reminded me of how few watches today that we have that need winding, and how we live in such a high-tech world. And from there, my next thought was, we do live in a world where everything is computerized, where communication is instant, everything is speeding up. And we can see how when we rely on computerized things, we can have glitches, just like we had a few minutes ago. And up until about 8 weeks ago, the constant cry I would hear, and you probably have too, is, I never have enough time. Never have enough time. However, many of us are adjusting from going full out and living a fast-paced life to a screeching halt. I was talking earlier when I had Kim on prior to starting the service. We were talking about finally finding our flow, finding the balance, and feeling like we are in a rhythm now. But coming from that full out race that we've been in for so long to a screeching halt was unnerving. We didn't quite know what to do. And so as a result of that, for some, you may be experiencing breakdowns in your relationships. Being in each other's presence all the time can be very difficult. And so you're having to find new ways of being together. You may find that there are some health challenges that are arising as a result of this. Things that you've just been pushing away and not paying attention to are now suddenly becoming more prevalent in your life. And of course, the stress in the face of this pandemic. For some, you may have the feeling of constantly being tired and out of sorts with yourself and others. I'm hearing that. I have a call weekly with other spiritual leaders and ministers, and everybody's starting to get antsy now. And you may be too, feeling like it's time. Okay, we've done this. Now let's move on. However, that's not the way it's happening, is it? So if you relate to any of this, the question to ask yourself is, what is going on in your personal prayer life? Are you taking time in the morning to begin your day on a full spring? Are you taking that time that you might have now and putting it to use in prayer and meditation? And so what is prayer? What do we mean when we say spending time in prayer and meditation? And most all of you who have been Unity students for a long time know what I'm talking about. It means taking time to commune with God, or just hanging out with God. Creating that intimate relationship with God, talking to God just like you would your best friend. Using the power of your imagination that you're texting your best friend. And what would you be saying to your best friend? That's what you would be saying to God. But in order to do that, you need to take time. You need to put time into that relationship. A Chinese scholar says, prayer is that exercise by which I bring myself into such communion with God that I become possessed of God's plan, God's thoughts, and God's passion for the world. I love that. Prayer is that exercise by which I bring myself into such communion with God that I become possessed by God's plans, by God's thoughts, and by God's passions for the world. And isn't that the way it is when we have a relationship with somebody, our best friend or our significant other? When we're in relationship with that person, we want to know what their plans and their passions are. If you are in true communion with that person, Those are the things that you want to know. What are you passionate about? So, what are the methods and types of prayer, and how do you pray? My colleagues, Reverends Robert and Janet Ellsworth, wrote a book called Come Apart for a While, and they talk about 4 different ways to pray that were taught by Jesus. First is praying for ourselves, petition prayer. It may be, I'm needing your guidance right now, God. I need you to help me to figure out this. That's a petition prayer. Praying for others, intercession prayer. And all of us are getting requests to pray for other people. Uplifting affirmative prayer. And this is Unity's signature prayer. When that prayer is about changing our consciousness. When we're praying from the mind of God, we are praying with affirmative prayer. And then contemplative prayer. Reflection, letting go, and meditation. Spending time in just that quiet. For many years, crisis praying was all that I knew. When I was in a situation that I felt I couldn't handle myself, and there weren't many of those because I thought I could do it all. And some of you may feel that same way. But when I would get to the place of I just didn't know what else to do, then it would be a crisis prayer. It would be calling out, help me, help me. And it wasn't until I came to Unity that I learned about affirmative prayer. When Jesus says, and whatever things you ask in prayer, believing you will receive. That was a brand new concept for me. Whatever things you ask in prayer, believing you will receive. Here's an example of whether or not people were using that prayer. It was during a particular hot summer, and a group of farmers met in their church to pray for rain. And after the prayer meeting, the little girl asked her father as they were going home if the people truly expected that it would rain. And her father said, of course they did. They wouldn't have been there praying if they didn't. But Daddy, the girl protested, I didn't see any umbrellas in the congregation. I didn't see any umbrellas in the congregation. So were they really believing that rain was coming? Think about that. How often do we go to prayer asking, thinking we're believing, and then the next thought is one of fear and lack, or one that is in total opposition of what we've been asking for? Contemplative prayer is my choice of prayer now. Jesus taught contemplative prayer as an inward way of reflecting, listening, and letting go. I think of this form of prayer as Joel Goldsmith teaches in his book, Beyond Words and Thoughts. It is aligning with God consciousness, drawing apart from the outer world and connecting to our center. It is truly a time of letting go and letting God, being fully present in the moment, contemplating spiritual things. When a little girl had finished her evening prayers, she remained at her bedside for some time. Finally, her mother said, it's time to get into bed. What are you waiting for? She said, I was just waiting to see if God had anything to say to me. Out of the mouths of babes. How often our prayers are quick and we're often running and we don't take time to listen. It is in the daily practice of prayer that we develop and strengthen our prayer consciousness. If I miss a day's practice, a distinguished musician, said, "I notice the difference in my performance. If I miss 2 days' practice, my best friend notices it. If I miss 3 days, the loss is evidence to all." When we do not commit to a daily prayer life, we will not be equipped to handle the bumps in the road. Prayer is not about changing God or removing the bumps in the road. Prayer is about changing us. Prayer is synchronizing ourselves in God consciousness with the cosmic flow, which is God's eternal willingness. God can do no more for you than he can do through you. If you are not taking time to slow down and plug in, you're going to be out of step. So remember, take time daily for prayer and meditation. Listen to what God has in mind for you. And then step 6, knowing and understanding the laws of life, also called truth, are not enough. A person must also live the truth that he or she knows. From John 13:17, if you know these things, blessed are you if you do them. Blessed are you if you do them. And I want to end with a story out of a book of Alan Cohen's called The Dragon Doesn't Live Here Anymore. There was a man who would arise each morning before dawn and go to a certain spot in the woods where he would sit quietly and make contact with his divine source. Then he would talk to the flowers, and they would reveal their secrets to him. Then, when he had established his deep connection with God and all creation, he would enter his day's activity and create new ways to beautify the world through living things and to make practical use of the gifts they offer humankind. This man was Dr. George Washington Carver. Dr. Carver was a living example of a masterful balance between inner communion and outer expression. He said, "Pray as if it all depends on God, but work as if it all depends on you." So the next time you hear God's guidance, see if you can allow yourself to be an instrument of God the way that Dr. Carver did. God works through each of us to bring more of God's life, love, and wisdom into the world. Know that God is with you in whatever action you decide to take. So remember, find time each day for prayer and meditation, sitting and talking to your best friend and listening to what your best friend has to say to you. God bless you. I have to laugh. I was talking to somebody from Georgia this week. He called me and he wanted to know about the platform that we use, which is StreamYard. And I told him, I said, "Oh my goodness, I have loved it because we've never had any problems with it." Well, I guess that isn't quite the way it is today. And I appreciate each and every one of you for coming back on board after you got kicked off and I got kicked off. But here we are. And I want to share with you some things that are happening. Every morning at 6:30, Reverend Elizabeth does her morning meditation, another wonderful time to connect in with God. And I did get a notice from her this morning that she got kicked off this morning. So there must be something in the air that is not liking the internet connections. But she is there most every morning. So check her out at 6:30. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we are available at 12:10 for another opportunity for you to spend a few minutes in prayer and a midday faith lift. Friday evenings, Dina does a whole hour of music, and music is another form of prayer. join her for that, because it is absolutely beautiful and uplifting. And then of course, Sunday service here at 10. I do want to say we have a talent show that we are planning for May 17th at 7 o'clock, and that's in the evening, 7 to 8:30. If you would like to participate in that, we will be doing it online on Zoom. And contact Reverend Elizabeth. There is something in Heart Thoughts that gives you her contact information. This is just another way for us to connect and have fun together. And so check that out. And even, it can be a reading, it can be poetry, it can be a song, anything that you want to do. And I think that's all I have to say. Next Saturday is Silent Saturday, and that Silent Saturday is offered on Zoom as well. The way that works is you will connect 3 times through the morning. First thing in the morning at 9:30 with a prayer together, meditation together, again around 1 o'clock, and then at closing at 2:30. So if you're interested in that, let me know and I'll connect you up with Trish Vogel, who puts the link up for the Zoom. I want to acknowledge we got Betty Gates on here. Thank you, Betty, and happy Mother's Day to you, my dear. Zoe, hi, happy Mother's Day. Mary Beth, hello, my dear. So now is the time for us to receive our tithes and offerings. And so I'm going to invite you, and I'm going to bring Dina back on because I bet she's got our yes, she does. There we are. She has our offering statement. I do want to say I thank everybody for their generous spirits and the generosity that you continue to support this community with. Christine has just put in the chat box the links to both our PayPal and our donate button on our website. So if you feel so inclined to give, those are available to you. I am so grateful for each and every one of you for your generous giving, because as you well know, we still are paying salaries, and we have many ways in which we are supporting our greater community. And it is through your tithes and offerings that we do that. So let us say together our offering statement. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, for the joy of giving. Thank you all for your generous giving. Oh, Bonnie's on. Cindy O'Connell, hi. All right, so now we will end. I don't even know what time it is. Let me check.
It's a little before 11.
Yeah, all right, so we didn't do too bad, even with all the glitches. So for those of you that would like to join us on Zoom afterwards, I think Christine will put the Zoom link in as well, and we can have a little coffee hour together. Come join us. So now we will end with You Are the Face of God. Whoops, I took Dina off instead of myself. Sorry, Nina.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my love. You are the heart of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my love. You are the heart of me. the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
I don't know where Pat's going, so I'll do the prayer for protection. Let me see if I can read it on my own screen. The light of God surrounds me. I am the light. The light of God I can't read it. Enfolds me. I am the love. The power of God protects me. I am the power. The presence of God watches over me. I am the presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. I trust that she'll show up on the Zoom coffee hour. Have a good morning, everyone. Thank you.